Well, today is Erev Shabbos. We got into a really difficult for me, Zohar about reincarnation. What we've been talking about, let me get this up here. Where is it? There? Oh, there. So, so, anyway, the subject of reincarnation, and particularly one specific statement that's made here in the Zohar that a neshama, which is born, or a nefesh, he calls it sometimes, it's born from Olam Atzilus. This refers to someone who has yichud on the night of Shabbos, produces a neshama from a very high place, and this neshama will never have to know shivut. So the question is that what does he mean by shivut? Well, shivut means slavery or indentureness. So like I'm thinking that you have to work 6 days of the week. That's what I'm thinking. You have to do something. But I'm not sure that's what it means at all. So instead, where the Zohar seems to be going, and let's open it up to, I think I'm going to just go forward from where we were, that the origins of neshamas are from different places. Now, understanding that is hard to understand. When a person comes into a Gilgul, that is, and I use the word person, I got to get my words lined up, and the neshama comes back into another goof. This is the same idea that he says is the idea of being sold as a slave, because now you're working in a different in the environment which is not naturally yours. It's a little difficult to understand what he means and all the rest, because he's going to talk about different words that the scripture uses to describe creation, and we're going to try to see if we can understand this idea of Gilgul a little bit better. So the thing about this story that we're involved in is that Rabbi Shimon began to speak, and he got into the subject of the slave, that a neshama that's born out of Olam Atzilus will never be enslaved. He talks about, well, they could become corrupted. Sometimes it happens. What are you going to say? Our minds are full of the ZOHAR too. So what can we do? So basically, this is the concept of being indentured. This is the very beginning of the Parsha. The Parsha starts about when a Jew is sold as a slave. And here he wants to come into this idea. This is actually the secret of this is the story of Gilgul. Okay, so the last thing I want to say was, in the middle of this conversation, it was having drops in an old man. He's called the Saba. Saba means grandfather. And the Matok explains that this is a neshama that came from Gan Eden in to speak to Rebbe Shimon. Exactly what does that mean is an inside of the head of Rebbe Shimon, and it's identifiable by Rebbe Shimon, and Rebbe Shimon begins to argue with him. So Rebbe Shimon now is going to say some things back, and we're going to be introduced, I think, for me, to some ideas that I'm not really all that familiar with. Rebbe Shimon v'Amar Saba said, Grandpa. There's some place we have to look at this. When a man sells his daughter for a maidservant. Now this was something that they did took place. It's a style of life. Osekas bin neshama the Chatzilus, you're dealing with this maidservant you're talking about, is really neshama the Chatzilus and Nikra Bito Shal HaKodesh Baruch Hu, was called the daughter of the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kashali, so it's hard for me. Nishbasa de Ihu Bas Yechida. So try to understand, he says in neshama, Zu. Shehi Nikras Bas Yechida, because she's a neshama from Atzilus. Shalom Malchus to Atzilus, and she came out and born out of the Malchus of Atzilus. Vihi Bas Zuge de Tzadik de Ihu Shabbos. Now, I want you to know that we talk about what is Malchus. We mentioned the Malchus of Atzilus. Well, Malchus he Bas Zugo Shalcha Yisod. She is the female, the mate. That's the right word. of the Yesod HaNikbrach Tzaddik, which is another word for that, is Tzaddik. We've seen this before. I think it was in the shir yesterday. Shuhu Sod Yom, which is also the secret of the Yom HaShabbos. So it seems to me that the neshama that we're talking about has a lot to do with the Yom HaShabbos, that is the tzaddik and the Yom HaShabbos, and this. Let's keep reading. Bas zugu shel yisod nikbrat tzaddik shehu sod Yom HaShabbos shebimenu yotzes and neshamas d'atzilus, because on that Shabbos, as we said before, is that yichud that takes place on Friday night. Atzilus derek malchus comes through malchus shehu mashpia osom, and these neshamos that are now coming through, but she pours them out, melamalim b'makom, and neshamas from up above, in the place where the neshamas are quarried. I've heard that before. He didn't say that, but I said that there's a quarry. I just don't know that much about it. Im kain, and if that's the case, ma'i macheres yikach lo, what does it mean if he should take another one? Mihi acheres, what's this other one? Sheyikav v'yishatev HaKodesh Baruch Hu neshama d'atzilus. So what is this other one? V'yishatev, that Hashem should partner with it, HaKodesh Baruch Hu. L'haneshama d'atzilus. In other words, where's the partner for this neshama of d'atzilus? Ki meloshen acheres nirish shehi zara. So because another way of looking at it, another language here is that it's actually a foreigner, mamish. Behind the nishmas b'sitra achred, it really means a neshama, that this neshama from Atzilus gets deposited in a neshama from the other side. Hashochenes beguv shal nachri, which is the neshama of a goy. V'zech v'vadai efsher, so this is for sure not true. She neshama de Atzilus, that the neshama of Atzilus, his tis lavesh ben neshama de klipa, could it be possible that the neshama from Atzilus could be reincarnated and sold, as that's the language that he used, into the body, ben neshama de klipa, excuse me, not into the body, but into the neshama of a klipa. Now he's talking about the panemius that makes a person be. So that's the neshama. It's the panemius of the person. He's talking about there's also panemius to the other side. And it goes into that. So the Rebbe Shimon. So the grandpa said over the Rebbe Shimon. Let's call him the Saba from now on. So this is the pasuk. The pasuk said if you take another one, so I'm not sure what chulo shal Shabbos means, but it sounds like the word ordinary. Shal Shabbos, movdelis and the Shabbos shehiba bechinis cholo shal Shabbos. Again, I don't know what this cholo shal Shabbos is. Movdelis and the Shama is split off from this cholo shal Shabbos. The is achra the lo is karias cholo shal Shabbos, because there's another one that's not called by the name cholo shal Shabbos. Ki yesh the Shama shehi acher is the gamer, which is completely and totally different. She'ena nikros cholo shel Shabbos, which I think he was talking about the neshama of a goy. The cholo shel Shabbos, in other words, something weekday in the middle of Shabbos. Ella cholo shel tuma shifcha. Shehi bechinas chol shel haklipa, which refers to the klipa shehi chol gomor, which is completely and totally only worldly. It has no spiritual dimension. Sha'al zu vadai lo ne'emar, and on this is for sure not said, imacheres yikach lo, if they should take another, he should take another one for himself. Now, it's a little confusing to me. There's a lot of new ideas here. So this is the daughter of Malchus. So v'amalei Rebbe Shimon Saba. So he said to the Saba, Chulu shel Shabbos mahi. What do you mean when you use this frame Chulu shel Shabbos, which we said a little explanation is something goyish in the middle of Shabbos. Shelo Pirush mina Emor. Who's he talking about? Amalei Rebbe Saba. So the Saba said to him, Da Amsa. This is referring to a maidservant. Now it was in the days when the Torah was written that people had daughters, And a preparation for marriage often was for her to become a maid servant. I'm not sure exactly how that worked. That's not my subject right now. But at any rate, this is Da Amsa. Zuhi neshama ma'ama. Ma'ama avriya. This is the neshama of a female maidservant. She was sold by her parents. This is the custom today. It's still a custom in the Middle Eastern world. So he said, neshama ma'ama avriya. She sewed olam yitzira, which is the secret of the world of Yitzira. That is the ama ha'avriya. That is the selling your daughter. Dihu, then she would be indentured for a certain amount of time. Then after that, possibly wed, or which would become available. Dihu gufa de bas yechida. Shehi haguf shal neshama. This is the body of the neshama, the chetzilos, andikras bas yechida, which is called the one and only daughter. Vihi hamavdeles bein hagedusha v'chaklipa, and her, what she does, this ama avriya, is the dividing line, the interface between kedusha and klipa. The aleh of the Allah itmar, because in regards to her it is written, imacheres yikach lo, if he should take another one for himself. Pirush, sheyucholoch on the neshama de atzilos, it's possible for the neshama of Atzila, the his gagol, to be rolled. That's Lashon rolling again, once again, as Gilgul reincarnated. His lavesh ben neshama the yitzira, and become, quote, in other words, this is a neshama, he said, that Atzilus, but it can become incorporated with a different neshama in Gilgul, the yitzira, which is of a different type, because it's Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, it's two more exposed worlds outward, so it's not as intently kadosh or close to the kedusha. Let's go on. It's a little bit involved here. So he said, "Meforish, tochazi." Come and see. Is nishmasa the iskarias ama. Now we just said there's a neshama that's called an ama. Bav reiki yesh neshama shehi ma'olam yitzira, and that's what he said about it. The word ama goes along with olam yitzira, and we're not talking about the bodies. We're talking about the neshamos of yitzira, hanikras ama. This nishmasa the iskarias shifcha, but there's another kind. This is another kind of maidservant. V'yesh neshama shehi mushrashus beklipa, that is also, its root is in klipa, which is a goya hanikras shifcha. This nishmasa the iskarias brata de malka, but there's also another neshama, which is called the daughter of the king. V'yesh neshama shehi malchus the chetzilos, and that comes from the malchus of the chetzilos, which we mentioned a little bit a couple of times. Hanikras bats melech, which is called the daughter of the king, the princess. Now he writes here on the side, because he's been studying this, he's the Matok Midvash. Bafal pisha amarno le'el sha'ama, that word ama referred to olam yetziva, he bebria, apparently somewhere it said that it's in bria. Im kol zeh, but no matter. He said, be'erech hashifcha, if you look at it in relationship to the shifcha, that is the nachriya, the foreigner, the goya, shehi haklipa nikras yitzira ama. That's when yitzira is called ama. So I don't know, something that he said that is really bria because of relationship to a shifcha, it comes down one. I'm not sure I understood that. But I want to go on. Hocha is ish de itmar be. So now there's a man that says about him, Kamo kain yesh ish and emerbo havaya ish milchama, where it says about this man, he says, man is a havaya, the name of God, manifest in olam yitzira, actually. Ish milchama, man of war. Who is this? Shehu zer anpin zadatzilos. This is the zer anpin of Atzilos. Now you could say, I could say, that this is the Yitzira of Atzilus, because their Ampen is Yitzira. So anyway, that just threw that in. Shehu's their Ampen to Atzilus, this Ish de Itmar Be, then there's also another man. It says in regards to this man, V'yesh Ish and Ember B'vacha Ish Gavriel. the man called Gavriel. That's Zer Anpin the Yitzira. That's another one. So he's saying that you could take, if you take the basic ideas of Atzilus, Bri, Yitzira, and Asiya, you can make all different kinds of metaphors for our names, and that's what's happening here in order to understand the secret of this pasuk, of these pasukim that we're dealing with. Ki yimchor ish, if someone is sold, it's Gilgul, and now we're in the middle of Gilgul. Im hi brata de kutsha, if she's the daughter of Zer Anpin, im hi bito shel Zer Anpin, shenimshach miyuchud zunda chatzilus, which came about how? Because there was a yichud in the zunda tzilus. That's why the Zohar is constantly saying that yichud after midnight, particularly on Friday night, is very propitious. Does a lot. It recreates a neshama tzilus. So he says, "I tema de is dabein begufa nochra, im tomar shehi nemkeres, that is that she is sold, a misgagelis, and she winds up rolling." He says this idea of rolling, beguf nachri, in a foreign body, the taman shaltanusa the Yetzirah, that in that foreign body is, it says, completely controlled by the Yetzirah, the ihu misitra the samakel. Maybe I should pronounce it of the Samach Mem. Shehi Shom Shlita Yetzirah, because that's where the power of the other side is, the Yetzirah. Shehu Mitzad HaSamach Mem, which is from the side of the Samach Mem. Haim Chaz v'Sholom Lomer, so God forbid you say like this, Lomer Kain, say something like that. That is a neshama that is coming from Olam Atzilus, this Barta, the Malka. It winds up over here in the Samach Mem. The Hag Siv Ani Hashem Hu Shemi Ukuvodi. So he says, Ani Hashem. Hashem is my name. Ukuvodi, and also my glory. Shehi HaNeshama Datzilus, which are talking about what in this phrase, Ani Hashem Hu Shemi Ukuvodi? That's talking about the Neshama Datzilus. La'achar lo eten, I will not give this to another. Pirush. Lo eten osa lehizgalgul beguf shel etc. Achra, I am not going to, I am lo eten osa, I will not give this neshama, lehizgalgul beguf shel etc. Achra, to roll into, to evolve into, revolve into, cycle into the Sitra Achra, the Hu Yetzirah, which is the Yetzirah, Shuhu Yetzirah Nikra Acher, which is called by the name Ach. Hasholet ala Adam L'Hachtio, which rules over a man for the purpose of trying to get him to sin. Elavada im neshama zuchot tzrich his gagel. But let's say this neshama, which is born out of Olam Atzilus, from the yichud of Zohar v'Nuk of Atzilus, this beautiful, beautiful pill, he actually shuchach hayetzahar hanikra acher. I'm in the wrong place. Elavada im neshama zul tzrich his galgel, if it in fact does have to roll in to another place. Hare he misgagelis beguf hamushrosh begedusha, but only into a body which is rooted in kedusha, v'lo beguf mishsitra achra, and not for the body of the other side. Now we have a little bit more that we're going to see here. It's a not easy inyan to actually talk about, but we have words and things that can guide us from the Torah, which is the pashtus of the Torah. Hahu gufa the sharya chabrata de malka. So now the barta the malka that is now the neshama b'tzilus. V'gufahu shemis laveshes v'shokenes boha neshama b'tzilus. That body that now has this anikrach bas melech, and that neshama is called by that name, the princess. Im kain im ki amarno. If so, im ki, if we are saying shaguf zera be'enu guf nochri, is not the body of a Gentile. El guf she'enu Masitra Achra. It's a body that is not from the other side. It's a kosher body. In other words, a kosher goof. Itema de is damen bekisrin de tatoin de besaavu. Now, what does he mean? Because those, so this is a neshama from an atzilus, which is now mizgagel. It's mizgagel into a kosher body, kosher person, a kosher neshama, the neshama. It's inside of a neshama. Maybe like that's the Rishash, which says something like ruach to ruach or neshama to neshama. So it's always talking about panemius. Because those tirtzalomer that you might want to say should be made gilgulo alo hulachto. That during the time that it's rolling, it's possible. Now, I have no clue of what he means by this period of time. What actually is happening to the neshama as it is evolving or revolving into someplace else. So alo hulachto, the sin. Vaz yihiyach mezumen moser ozara beguf. So that's possible that along the way of his fall, where he's going to be mizgagel, he's going to get into more trouble. So then this body of this neshama, into the place of the spheres of the other side. Chatmeos, which are tome. There's no possibility of getting out of that place. Lishlot olov leherelo. They get a hold of him somehow during his fall. He's using the word misgagel. He says during the time. What does he mean by time of his Gilgul? When he's still misgagel. What does that mean to me? I don't know. Chalila v'chas. He says that this, as a result of that, he gets meluchlach along the way. As a result of that, he's going to wind up following into the other side. Chalila v'chas. The God forbid this should happen. Lomar kain. Ka'Allah itmer, because in this it says like this: Al zera haguf ne'emba v'ha'aretz shehu haguf. So goof is physicality, and that's the lashon of ha'aretz. So he said v'ha'aretz, which is the goof of the neshama datzilus. Lo timacher letzmisos, you can't sell it for perpetuity. Which would be like this, that you would create a situation where the klipa is holding on, achizis haklipa, the hold of the klipa, hanikras smisus, which is called by the name smisus. Now, let's read it again because I have to plug this name smisus in. I thought that lo timcho the smisos, and he says that the meaning of the word smisos is the achiza of the klipa, that a person should not be sold into the achiza of the klipa. Now, he's saying that we are talking about a piece of the Torah which says that you could, a person falls for different reasons, he has no money, he owes, or he stole, something like that. He has to pay it back through this process, that is, he becomes indentured for a period of 6 years, and the 7th year he goes out. But then there's a possibility that he wants to stay because he has now a Canaanite wife and he has children and so on and so forth, and it becomes indentured forever. So what's pshat over here? We're talking about the neshama, that a person could fall so far out. And the Torah is also implying that God forbid that we should fall down into great poverty, but there's a path to poverty, which has to do with different types of ways of turning away from Hashem. So this is what we could do, and we can continue to be misgalgal and going down and down and down through the wrong paths, until we're really in serious, serious poverty. So he said, Vishuha guv shal haneshama datzilus. So it says, what did it say? V'ha'aretz, the land which is the body of the neshama datzilus. In other words, the neshama is residing within. Lo simacha letzmisos, never sell that to tzmisos. So he says, the Matok adds in a little detail, he says, Shuhu Lashon Smisa for Krisa. What does that mean? Krisa means cutting off. Kamasha Kasa, the Bakarim, Atzmis called Rashoi Etza, that will cut off all of the evil people of the world. Let me just say, calls it Libakarim. For those that are called Atzmisos, called Rishoi Etzer, it's going to cut off all of the evil people of the world. He said, "V'haklipos asidus the hiyos nikrosos mina oilim." So he says the klipos in the future are destined to hiyos nikrosos mina oilim. Okay, so just giving you an idea what smisos means. Smisos means to be cut off as a result of the fact that it's grabbed by the klipos. Kili ha'aretz, because the land belongs to me. Pirush, ki zeh haguf shayach alav. Vein the Sitra Chelik Bo, the Sitra Achra has no part in it, Klal at all. Elohum Mushrosh B'Kedusha, but rather it's rooted in Kedusha. L'chein Yesh Lo Shmira Shelo Yisalach Lach Ba'avon Kanal, so therefore, for the fact that what it came out of will protect him, so that it should become dirty, sullen, sunken, what's the right word? Soiled in sin. Okay, this is the last paragraph we're going to look at now. Try to understand what we're going at. So he's taking this is what the Zohar does, taking the pasuk and bringing it into Sod to be able to understand the relationships. So I just want to say this word about the Matok Midvash. He died on the day that he completed his Pirush on this Zohar. On the Zohar in general. Whatever we have of the Zohar, the Matok Midvash, and the day that he finished it, that's the day he passed away. So they say. And they explain, they say like this, Man gufa de brata de malka. Mihu ha-guf, what is the body of the neshama of Atzilus? What kind of body does it go into? Is that what he means? What does he mean? What kind of person does that neshama go into? V'amar do matat. Oh. He says there's a relationship here. Atzilus, matat, is the malach of Olam Yetzirah. He is the highway of Yetzirah, going into Yetzirah, going out of Yetzirah, trying to understand Matat. That's the goof of the light of this neshama from Olam Netzia, Sheba Olam Yetzirah. So that is the goof. It comes from Atzilus, doesn't mention Bria, and it comes into Matat, Yetzirah. V'hai gufa ihu amad deshrinta. V'guf hazeh. We said before, this is the maidservant to the Shechina. Ama la Shechina. Lefi shaharaso bo me'olam Yetzirah, because its light came from Olam Yetzirah. Hamashamesh la Shechina ka'ama, which works for the Shechina like a maidservant. Now he's talking about the Shechina, which is the Malchus Tzilus, and the Matat, which he's also now bringing in another word, which is the word Amma. So the Amma means that it is a servant, and this sounds like it means it's Mishtamesh for the pleasure, or the pleasure, is that the right word, or for the, to help this neshama Tzilus, to clothe it. So he says that's the concept of the Amma. Mamaki afal gav deihi nishmasa, afal pi she'osaha guf, enu guf gashmi. We're not talking about a body. We're talking about a hidden world. Elahi bechinas neshama, but it's the aspect of the neshama of the malach matat sheba olam yetzira, but it's in a world which is more revealed. So that's the thing about olam yetzira. that I can think of is that's where the name Yud-K Vav-K is revealed. It's not revealed in Olam Atzilus. It's not revealed. It's there. It's not revealed in Eric Anpin. And it's not revealed in Abba Be'ima, Yisrael Saba Tavuna. It's revealed in Zer Anpin. And his name subsequently is Yud-K Vav-K. Now he says, so that is what is receiving this neshama ma'olam atzilus. So he says, v'hi bebechina neshama b'malach matat sheba'olam yetzira. Im kol zeh di'ichu brata de malchus shavuyatom. That she is in fact the princess, but she's indentured there, or she's shavuya means captured there. On neshama atzilus, which is the bas melech. Shavuya Sham Benartika, she is hidden there in her cell. Gilgul Asya, Vihi Baz the Sham Besod Gilgul. How did she get to this place? Now, it's a little bit over my head here. She's the daughter of the queen. I thought this was a good thing that he said. This is my maybe I'm wrong. I was just trying to understand this. That it was a good thing that the body of the neshama, the olam atzilus, is mislavish in the body of Matat, who is olam yitzira. But now he says the ihu brata de malchus shavuya tama, she's imprisoned there. That's the right word. Begilgula asya. And she's there, vihi bal l'sham. Why? So the Gilgul. She is in a place where she's really captured by Matat. That's the sentiment, the way I feel this, that he's saying this. So he says, Milos the Asyan Gilgulim, begin the Asyach of the Taman Bedaver Acher. I'm not sure what this actually is, these abbreviations. So he says, Makasiv ba, so let me go back. Begilgul the Asya, he ba the Sham, besoda Gilgul. Makasiv ba, what's written in regard to that? V'chi yimchor ish za'akodesh Baruch Hu as bito. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sells his daughter, Yimchor. He haneshama datzilus. Now, remember, he says that the word Yimchor is a concept of going down as a result of probably errors or mistakes that the neshama was involved with. As bito, he haneshama datzilus v'la'amacha b'dazoch neshamacha b'bacha me'olam yitzira. He sells her into Yitzira. This is a Gilgul, a lowering. So it sounds like now also we see that Gilgul is really it's a punishment to a certain extent, that you wind up in a lower world than the world that you were built for. She will not go out like an ordinary indentured servant. She's not going to go up. This is the translation, he said. She will not leave this world. Muluchlach is soiled. Batumas avonos, with the sins of the avonos. Could say avodim, like the same way that a person who is really bound up with this soiled product. As atzman b'chavanosim, because they soil themselves with their sins. This will not happen to this neshama, the tzilos. I think that's what he said at the end here. Well, it's an interesting excursion into the world of neshamos. This is Baruch Flashman. You've been listening to the Tikkun Elevator Kola.